Is the 2027 BYD Denza M5 a luxury SUV, or is it a moving piece of future architecture that just happens to have wheels? That is the question this thing throws at you before it even turns a tire. Because from the first glance, the M5 does not arrive like a normal family utility vehicle. It arrives like a private jet designed by people who were told to make it quieter, sharper, and somehow more human. It has that strange effect rare cars have. It looks expensive, yes, but more importantly, it looks intentional. Every surface feels drawn with purpose, as if Denza wanted to prove that modern luxury does not have to shout to dominate a scene. And that is why this SUV matters. The M5 feels like Denza's attempt to turn the premium SUV world on its head without using old luxury badges as permission. It is not selling nostalgia, it is selling confidence. In a market where many expensive SUVs still rely on familiar logos and safe design, the Denza M5 feels like a realistic preview of where high-end mobility is going next. Electrified power, lounge-like comfort, long-distance confidence, and technology that tries to disappear until you actually need it. Now watch the bodywork. Start at the nose, where the front end feels clean, almost sculpted, with lighting elements that look less like headlights and more like jewelry set into the face of the car. The grille treatment is restrained, the surfacing is smooth, and the whole front section seems to cut through air instead of fight it. Then the camera slides outward, the shoulders are wide, the stance is planted. The wheel arches carry just enough muscle to remind you this is still an SUV, not some delicate design study that would panic at the first rough road. Move along the side, and the M5 becomes even more impressive. There is a calmness to the silhouette, flush details, tight panel work, and a clean beltline give it that modern premium look buyers now expect, but the shape never feels empty. It has volume, it has weight. It looks like the kind of SUV that would reflect a city skyline at night and still feel perfectly at home parked beside a mountain lodge before sunrise. The Denza M5 appears to want both. Then the rear comes into view, and this is where the car finishes the statement. The tail design looks broad and technical, with lighting that stretches the visual width and gives the whole SUV a grounded, expensive attitude. Nothing feels random. Nothing feels overdecorated. The design language is polished enough for a luxury showroom, but solid enough to suggest real-world confidence. It is elegant, but not soft. And then comes the real transition. Open the door, step inside, and the M5 stops being a car, it becomes a lounge. This is where Denza seems to understand something many brands still miss. Luxury is not about adding more screens just because you can. Real luxury is about lowering stress. It is about space that slows your breathing down. In the M5, the cabin appears designed around that exact idea. The seats look thick, supportive, and deeply cushioned, the kind of chairs that make traffic feel less offensive. Soft touch materials seem to wrap the upper surfaces. Metallic trim adds a cool edge. Ambient lighting gives the interior that evening flight atmosphere where everything glows instead of glares. The dashboard feels wide and organized, but not intimidating. The digital displays are there, yet the real trick is how the technology appears to serve the cabin rather than dominate it. Navigation, media, climate, camera views, voice control, drive settings, all of it is expected in a modern premium SUV. But what matters more is the feeling of effortlessness. You do not want to study a luxury car, you want to settle into it. The M5 seems built for that kind of relationship. And let's talk about practical luxury, because that is where premium SUVs either earn respect or expose themselves. Storage has to be smart. Second row comfort has to feel special, not like an afterthought. Visibility has to be easy. Entry and exit should feel graceful. If Denza gets those basics right, then all the glossy screens in the world become a bonus instead of a distraction. That is how you build an SUV people actually love living with. Now, performance. This is the part where style either gains credibility or loses it. Based on Denza's current direction, expect the M5 to lean hard into electrified power, likely with the kind of instant response that makes a heavy SUV feel strangely light on its feet. Just immediate Press the accelerator and you can imagine that clean, silent surge, a wall of torque arriving without the usual delay, the body gathering itself and then gliding forward with authority. For a vehicle in this class, that sensation matters more than noise ever could. If Denza gives it the performance edge many buyers now expect, a 0 to 100 time in the sub 5-second range would not feel surprising at all. And the more important number may be the one you feel after that first hit of acceleration: stability. A premium SUV has to feel calm at speed. It has to whisper on the highway, stay composed over broken pavement, and carry its mass with discipline through fast sweepers. This is where suspension tuning, body control, and power delivery define the car's character. The ideal M5 should feel smooth in the city, effortless on long trips, and quietly unstoppable when the road opens up. Then there is the range question, and this is where Denza has a chance to get people's attention in a very big way. Buyers are tired of choosing between comfort, performance, and long-distance usability. The winning formula is all three. So whether the M5 arrives as a high-capacity EV, a clever plug-in hybrid, or both depending on market, the mission is obvious. Remove anxiety, shorten charging or refueling stress, and make this SUV feel like it belongs on real journeys, not just short commutes and press photos. Now for the reality check. The expected price window is likely where the conversation gets serious because the M5 has to look premium without drifting into fantasy territory. If Denza can position it somewhere below the traditional European luxury giants while matching them on atmosphere, tech, and straight-line confidence, it becomes dangerous. But there are still honest questions. Brand prestige takes time. Software polish must be flawless. Dealer and service networks matter more than glossy launch videos, and if the vehicle gets too heavy, efficiency and agility could suffer. Still, the impression is powerful. The 2027 BYD Denza M5 does not feel like it wants to imitate the old luxury SUV formula. It feels like it wants to replace it with something calmer, smarter, and more visually commanding. Not a status symbol for the past. So here's the choice. In the Denza M5, are you the driver chasing that silent surge, or the passenger sinking into the lounge and letting the world slide by? Tell me your role in the comments, and subscribe to Jack Auto Expert for more cinematic car stories.